Let's be honest, there's no guidebook when it comes to relationships. So we end up having to stumble through life trying to figure things out for ourselves. What if there was a podcast that found the answers for you, that provided insight to build a successful relationship and ultimately find the companionship you've always hoped for? Welcome to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we answer the questions most people are afraid to ask when it comes to lessons in life and love. It's time to master this thing called life together with your hosts, John and Ashley.
And welcome back, everybody. Okay, we have an interesting show for you today because we were contacted on Instagram by a direct message from somebody that is needing our assistance. Now, we did this under agreement with this individual that we would keep them anonymous. So we are just going to call him Kevin.
Kevin. I like Kevin. Kevin is having a bit of a trouble with a girl that he met that he really started to like. We're going to get more into the situation, but first I just want to say thank you to everybody. By the time the show airs, I'm sure we have cracked 2,000 downloads in the last 4 months, and that is amazing. I mean, you guys have been phenomenal. Thank you for all of your support, all of your reviews, all of your subscribing, all of that thing. They mean the world to us. So we're going to get back to the original short format today, and we're going to do something fun with Kevin. Let's do it.
Yeah, so Kevin contacted us, and he's having a bit of problems with a girl that he had met that he was kind of working with and helping in her studies. And he actually started developing feelings for her. But as time moved on, she really enjoyed speaking with him and keeping in touch with him. But she was talking about her ex, which kind of didn't sit real well with him. It actually kind of brought him down a little bit.
He literally says it makes me feel sad. Sorry. It's just.
But he told this to one of his friends, and his friend actually, according to Kevin here, forced him to call her and say, "Don't talk about your ex in front of me." Now, the next part of this doesn't make sense, but he says, "I do the same thing." So I'm not sure if he talked about his ex in front of her or it doesn't talk about his ex in front of her. So we're kind of up here on that little piece of information right there. But as time went on, again, he texted her and said that he doesn't want to be a distraction to her, and he pretty much broke contact. She didn't contact him back, and then a few days later, she repeatedly called him, but he held true to his word, and he rejected her calls. So he is wondering what to do from here.
Let's break this down. He moved, to another city, and he met a girl. Cool. He meets the girl. They start talking. And then he develops feelings for her. And she starts talking about her ex. Now, call me crazy, but the first thing that he did wrong was start to feel sad because she talked about her ex. That's already creating an unrealistic expectation for their friendship and a conditional friendship. I'll be your friend as long as you don't talk about your ex because I like you. Now, if you like somebody, don't you want to hear these things? If you're trying to date someone, don't you want to hear what went wrong?
Yeah. And that could either be done by, "This is what I don't like," or it could be, "Don't do that. My ex did that to me, and this is the way that it made me feel." But what I see here is kind of like what we talked about in our Love is Blind episode. He started developing feelings for her and getting that positive illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And brought in the ex, and now it's kind of like he's having that little break there. Can he live up to her, or can he not live up to the expectation that he's built?
I think one of the problems is like you said, can he live up to an expectation? The guy's an ex for a reason, Kevin. You know what I mean? Like, he's an ex for a reason. There's a reason. And instead of getting jealous, you're not sad. Let's just be quite honest. That's jealousy. That's not sadness.
Unless the guy was abusive, that's the only way I can say sadness. And then you have that empathy coming out.
Exactly. In which case you wouldn't tell her, "Don't talk about your ex in front of me anymore." I'm sick of, to me, we'll get to that part in a minute because there's so many red flags with that. But what I'm saying is, instead of being jealous and being a good friend, you should have listened. Nobody owes you any specific type of conversation, but respectful conversation. If you knew that, because clearly if she was talking about her ex that much, she's still hurt.
Yeah. And what I'm seeing here is that she enjoys talking to him because he does state that she called him and like late at night, they would talk for hours.
Right.
You don't do that with somebody that you don't like. You continue a conversation because you enjoy that person's company or what they have to say.
Right.
So she liked him. Now, as to whether she romantically liked him or she just liked him as a friend, that's two different things.
Mm-hmm. And it's obviously something we can't determine. It seems to me like there was some sort of flirting going on. There was some sort of expectation. And he felt crushed. And so then he talks to his friend about it. And there are so many things wrong with calling somebody up and saying, you don't talk about your ex in front of me. There are so many red flags. As bad as this sounds, Kevin, you are not ready to enter into a mature relationship if you have to call someone and tell them that.
I do have another message here from him, and it says that he does have a big crush on his best friend. But now she has a boyfriend. So he's wondering if he should confess to her or if he should just step away and ignore the whole thing.
It's the same person?
Yeah, it's the same person that he's talking about in this message. What I would say is kind of like what we talked about on our crush episode is remain her friend.
Right.
Don't cut yourself totally off because if that relationship doesn't work out, who's she going to turn to? She's going to find somebody else.
I don't know. There's something weird to me about it. Could be cultural based on where you're from. But to me, at this point, it looks like there's a walk away for a while and reconnect kind of deal happening here. Because it does cross a line, at least in my mind. It crosses a huge line when you tell somebody, don't talk about your ex in front of me. I promise I'll never talk to you again. I promise I won't disturb you. I won't call or text you anymore. That's a lot. Yeah,
I think that to me is like a self-sabotage.
Right.
Been hurt in the past, so instead of risking being hurt again, it's easier to walk away. The way that I approach situations like this is let them know, but don't hold any expectations.
Right. If your first conversation when it comes to this kind of thing is don't talk about someone in front of me, don't do these things in front of me, you're not only self-sabotaging and pushing the person away, but you're really showing who you are. You're showing that you can't even handle hearing about another person. What if the ex pops up? What are you going to do then? It seems to me like you are overreacting to something that is a natural conversation that two people have. When you're in a relationship, you talk about exes, and you need to talk about your exes.
It's kind of like all the people that I've gone out with, but I'm still friends with.
Right.
Yeah, I'm an ex, but I'm still a friend. We still hang out. They have somebody new. Well, yeah, that person kind of has a little bit of jealousy towards me, but dude, I'm not a threat.
Yeah.
Now, if she doesn't want me around because you can't handle it, well, that's going to be between you two.
Right. I see a lot of insecurity in this. I see so much insecurity in this, and I see someone who, like you said, was hurt before, but also someone who can't handle rejection. And the problem is,
he's trying to take the honorable road.
Right, but there's nothing honorable about the way he texted her and says, like, I think I'm a distraction. I won't ever, disturb you again. And the reason I say that is because that's dramatic. Like, it's too dramatic.
It's too final, in my word. In my thoughts, it's just too final.
It's so concrete and so rigid and so inappropriate. And it seems like, he says, oh, she called me a few days after, but I rejected her calls. Okay, what?
She's calling either one because she's worried about you, or two, she wants to remain friends. She wants to have that connection. You were studying together. You were meeting each other. You were talking for hours.
Right.
And then it just kind of comes to an automatic halt because she started going out with somebody. It's not the way that I would handle it.
No.
There's just too much in there. The way
it's too concrete.
Yeah. I would definitely step back and undo that by at least just going out for, I don't know, an afternoon tea or a cup of coffee or something. Meet during the day, which is pretty much what I said in the Crushes episode that we did. Meet them during the day, have like a conversation, something that's light, and then broach the subject of what's going on. Because that's probably going to be the first thing out of their mouths is what's going on.
Right. And like I said, it's just too concrete for me. I'm not a big fan of not allowing people to defend themselves and just kind of walking away if the situation is simple. Obviously, there are very many complicated situations to where, yes, you should automatically walk away. But this seems like something that is just so petty to me. Something that is so little and so minute. And I understand, because I think we've all been there with a crush where we listen to the crush talk about their ex or the person they're dating. And it does. It hurts. It sucks. It's annoying. And you're like, oh my God, like, I just want to go out with you. I want to be the one to make you happy. But you don't ever put them in the situation where
they have to make a choice between you or them.
Right, because it's not going to be you. And it's not going to be you not because you're not a good person. It's not going to be you because you're the person who put the ultimatum on them. So they're going to be defensive toward you. They're going to have an issue with you because in most people's mind, a friendship is a place where you can go safely and talk about the things that are bothering you.
Yeah. And if you're a good sounding board, it usually turns out that you know more about them than the person that they're seeing.
Right.
Depending on how long they've been seeing them and depending on when you came into the picture. But to me, it looks like Kevin was there before this person was.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I'm assuming. So he pretty much knows more than this other person does. Favorite color, what she likes to drink, favorite flowers, music, whatever. And this other guy's probably not having figured all that stuff out yet.
And if he wasn't there, if he's an ex that she met before you, she's probably still healing. That's the thing. It's a healing process after a breakup. So yes, you're going to need somebody to talk to about it. You're going to talk. If it was a very serious relationship, you're going to talk someone's ear off about it because that's a giant chunk of your life that is now gone and you have to process all those things. So she was trusting you to be her confidant, to be the person who helps her pick back up the pieces, and you threw it in her face. And I'm not sure who your friend is, but I can tell you right now, that person is no friend of yours.
I've never given an ultimatum where I was just like, you can't talk about that.
Right.
It's just not something that is, I guess, just not in my DNA because I've never denied anybody talking about something unless it was like, yeah, we could get in serious trouble for having that kind of conversation.
Yeah. Or like if you're talking about something that you really, really need to go to jail for. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you're right.
You don't want to limit somebody on the type of conversation that they can have with you because a conversation goes about and you remember something and you want to talk about it, but oh, no, that's off limits. Can't talk about it. Now they're walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
And if it does develop into an actual relationship, then they've got to tiptoe around that topic constantly. And it's not fun.
No, you're already setting your relationship up for failure. One of the worst things I think that I've seen in relationships is people feel like they can't talk to the person they're dating or they're married to about everything, which to me is counterproductive because how am I supposed to spend the rest of my life with you or even a decent amount of my life with you if I have to tiptoe around you and I can't think or I can't speak about things that I need to speak about?
And I'm kind of disturbed by the wording in that where his friend forced him to call her.
Yeah.
You don't.
That doesn't happen.
It's your life.
Right.
If you don't want to call her, then you don't call her. You
don't call her.
And don't make somebody force you to call them. But
yeah, you gotta stand up for yourself, man. That's another thing. You are clearly allowing someone to pressure you into ruining a potential relationship. And you have to really look at that and take a step back.
Now, if you don't talk about your ex in front of somebody, then that's up to you. But don't force those rules onto somebody else. Pretty much how I look at it.
I think another big issue, I mean, and this is universal, this is something that we all struggle with, is understanding the tactfulness of how to speak to somebody. Like I said, the way the message was worded, it was so, it was rude, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't talk to someone if they talked to me like that. I think there's a better way to approach that situation also.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if this went through like a Google Translate or not. Just the way that it's kind of broken English. But even with that, yeah, as far as telling somebody that you're not going to disturb them again and you won't call them or you won't text them, no, I wouldn't go down that road. That one, going to have to back that one up.
Right.
I kind of see where he's coming from on it. He doesn't want to like become a third wheel. He doesn't want to be seen as a threat to the relationship or something like that. But still,
no,
you
right?
still want to be there with them. Yeah, you want to still be there for them.
Right. Like, no, dude, you're doing this wrong. And, you know, it even says in there, like, he sends a message, I think I'm a distraction to you. And you may very well be, because that may be what she needs right now. This is, and I'm sorry, Kevin, this is very selfish of you. I understand your feelings.
I can understand it. It's not easy seeing somebody that you like going out with somebody else, but you kind of have to rise above that and not be disturbed by it.
Yeah. And you have to be able to look outside yourself.
Yeah, be supportive.
It's that simple. And if you're not willing to do that, then you aren't ready for anything further than if you can't handle a friendship, you can't handle a relationship. And that just goes for everybody listening right now. There's no excuse for this. And I understand, like I said, I understand how you feel. I understand that it hurts to watch someone you like somebody else. It hurts to watch somebody you like struggle or complain and do all those things. But if you really do care about them, you have to understand that you are here to support them. You are not here. They are not here to talk about what you want to talk about. This isn't a dictatorship. It's a friendship.
She's going to have other male friends, and you can't be jealous of other male friends that she's not romantically involved with. So you don't want that jealousy to creep up and sabotage something.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. I think, Kevin, we've kind of given you what we think. I'm going to say, John, why don't you run down, what do you think is a better alternative? What do you think would have been the best alternative for him to do?
Well, actually, to at least point him in the right direction of what he should do or what I would do if I was in this situation. And it's pretty much the same advice that I give to other people that are in this type of situation. You need to sit down and you need to talk with them and just let them know as easily or as bluntly as you feel comfortable doing. Let them know that this is how you feel and you would like to be seen as an alternative when that opportunity comes about. However, with that, you can't hold any expectations. Absolutely. It is completely up to them. Like I've said in the past, every person that I talk to, every person that I approach, I go in with zero expectations of anything that's going to happen. If it does happen, great. It can take my life in a different direction. If it doesn't happen, nothing has really changed.
Yep. I think instead of acting rational, you acted out of jealousy. You did the first thing that came to mind because you didn't understand how you were feeling, to be completely honest. That's what it seems like. And this seems like a very quick reactionary measure instead of, saying, damn, hey, this hurts my feelings when you do this. I understand that you need to talk about it. I think if you're not able to understand that, there's a lot of work that needs to be done inside of you so that you can feel comfortable expressing yourself. And that's kind of what we're starting to get into with you guys, is we're starting to do the mindset work. We're starting to really approach this tactfully so that when you are able to speak to someone you have a crush on, you aren't acting irrational.
I get the whole, this is what you said, so you're going to stick by your words. However, in this type of situation, this isn't where you want to do that. Now, if you tell them that you're going to do something, you're going to stick by your word and you're going to do it, that's one thing. But if you're going to tell them that I'm just going to end everything, that's not only being unfair to them, it's being unfair to yourself as well. Because that is sabotaging any prospect of this thing possibly becoming something more. Because if she's constantly calling you, she wants to have that connection with you.
Right. You just threw it away. And like John said, it's one thing to stand on principles. It's another thing to look at yourself and go, you know what?
Yeah,
I was wrong.
Principles sabotage everything.
Right. You were wrong. and to admit that you were wrong and to say you're sorry to her. She obviously needs to know how you're feeling, or nothing's going to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you need to, really start doing that work. We have the guides for you guys. We can help you along those ways. We have the mindset work that you need to do. We have that. Take some time, fill that stuff out. Really sit on it and stew on it and understand that it needs to be done first.
Yeah, because if you don't know what is sabotaging everything, then you can't move forward. Every relationship that you have is going to end up collapsing. And it's not really because of the other person, it's because of something inside your thought process that is causing you to take the same reactions, so you keep getting the same results. Until you identify what that is, a relationship isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of bad almost all around. When we read this, we struggled with even starting to approach it, because we knew this wasn't going to be easy to talk about, especially since, when someone reaches out to you, what you want to do is help them. And you want to make sure that you are still being tactful with them without leaving out the truth. You want to make sure you're getting this across. And this is very hard for us to do, because there are so many things wrong with this approach that it sounds like we're being very negative, when really all we want to do is be realistic about how you go about handling hurt feelings and jealousy.
This is difficult because we still don't have the entire picture of what transpired and how all of this came about. We just have little glimpses. So trying to fill in the gaps from looking at from different points of view and then coming up with a solution that could possibly work. We can give a solution, but you actually have to do it.
Yeah, and we're not here to make you feel like shit at all. We are not here to, beat you down.
Yeah, we have to identify how and why something happens. And only when we understand how and why it happened can we actually give, here's specifically the steps you need to take.
Yeah. And when you're ready to take those steps, you'll start to see a different person. If you're Kevin and you're being reactionary out of jealousy, is it that you feel inadequate? Is it that you're upset because she can see another person in that way? Why are you feeling this jealousy? What is the root cause of that? Once you acknowledge the root cause of that jealousy, once you're able to verbally articulate what is wrong, you're able to correct the problem.
You have to also see what kind of value and what quality you are bringing to the table.
Right.
Because if you have that positive illusion of this person is this way, you have to see that you can fit in there and actually enhance or offer them something that they don't have. And if you don't know what that is, if you don't know what your strength is, then that person is constantly going to be, quote unquote, out of your league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in leagues because I've gone out with television stars. I've gone out with supermodels and people like that. And people are like, oh, she's out of your league. Really? Then why is she going out with me? Obviously, I'm not out of her league. But I know my own strength. I know what I bring to the table. And you kind of have to discover what that is for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Reach out to a friend who's actually a friend and not someone who's going to give you terrible, terrible advice. I have a huge problem with his friend making him call and say all those things, because no good friend would do that. No good friend would give you irrational ass advice. That's something
out of one of those pickup artist trash books.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of abusive and I don't like it. And it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. But when you're ready to do that work, like I said, ask a friend. If you're not sure about your strength, if you're not sure, you have no idea, ask somebody. Let them know, like, hey, man, I'm struggling with what's going on right now. I need help. If you guys ever need anything, always, apparently, you can reach us on Instagram.
Yeah, this came through on a DM.
Right. So. Which I didn't even know. I'll be honest with you. I don't think either of us really even thought that would be a thing. But it is, and we're glad that you guys are finding avenues to reach out to us. We're glad that you guys are asking us questions aside from, hey, can I be on the show? We're really glad about that, and we're here to help you, but we're not going to always take your side just because you're asking for advice.
No, our job is to tell you the truth. You've probably heard it on some of the past episodes where we just straight out said, that's bullshit.
Right.
I'm not buying it. There's something else here that you're not telling us. and I have a very good BS meter. But if we're not being truthful and honest with you, then all we're doing is boosting how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem. And the first time you go out there and try something and it doesn't work, you're back to square one.
Mm-hmm.
All we did was make you feel good for a little bit.
Right.
We don't want to do that. We want to make you feel good for the rest of your life.
Exactly. We want you to create meaningful relationships with people. We want you to be able to communicate with somebody. We don't want you, like John said, we're not going to pat you on the back. Oh, you wrote into us? You're the best person ever. No. Sometimes it's your fault. And it's hard to hear, but if nobody tells you, then you're right. Yeah, it is very hard to say sometimes. We do struggle, believe it or not, trying to find a way to tactfully put some of this stuff. But if nobody tells you, how are you going to know?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing with Kevin here. Yeah, Kevin, you screwed up. Now it's time to undo any kind of potential damage that you've done, and hopefully it hasn't gone on too long. But approach her, let her know how you feel. That way she at least knows, because she probably doesn't even know that you even feel that way about her.
Yes, 100%. And I knew I was missing something, but that's why I call this immature. That's why I'm so frustrated with it, because he's just doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing shit.
It's kind of stumbling through life and hoping something good is going to happen. Things happen because you make things happen. You don't just step outside your house and have 50 people come up and offer you a job. No, you actually go out and you apply for that job. You make it happen. Now, they can hire you or not. There's really no, it's kind of a weird way of putting it, but relationships happen the same way. I like you. Do you like me back?
Right.
I don't want to say it's like applying for a job, but
it kind of is. No,
it kind of is.
It's not wrong. Your application is basically how well you flirt.
No, how you approach, how you dress, how you're perceived, the value that you bring. You can't go be a CFO for a major corporation if you don't understand finance.
True. So
you got to bring value to the job.
It's true. You have to bring value. And so, yeah, it is. It's absolutely like a job interview. And you seem to have missed the mark, my friend. And I don't think you even realized it, because I'm sure as you were typing this out, you were frustrated, to say the least. And when you sent it, you probably wanted some sort of practical advice. And my practical advice is to tuck your tail between your legs and apologize to that woman and have a serious conversation with her.
You've talked in the past. All you have to do is say, I do care about you. Kind of broach the subject there. And from there, I would like to go out with you sometime as more than friends.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't get that, reach through the phone and slap them upside the head. Because, the message is there. It's very well received and pretty much everybody gets it. I would like to go out with you.
Right. I enjoy your presence. I think we should do this over some steak. Like that simple. And if she has a boyfriend now, then, I hate to say it, but of course she has a boyfriend now. You have shown that you can't be trusted with even the smallest conversation.
Or she didn't see him as an option.
Right.
She saw him more as a friend, which is one of those things. And that's the problem with that polite flirting. If he's flirting, he's either doing polite flirting or sincere flirting. Both of those leave out the intention that you want to be seen as a romantic partner.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to flip. You got to go from there to traditional or physical. Or if he did have physical flirting, it was very, very low key and it wasn't received as a type of flirting.
That's also a possibility. There's too many possibilities to even understand remotely.
And this is why we got that major course where we actually go out there and we physically watch you. So we get the full picture. We know what's going wrong.
Mm-hmm. And you guys need to be descriptive, because there are so many things left to chance here. And I think, he's a little arrogant when he wrote it in, to where it makes it seem like she's super into him and he was kind of into her. And then she started talking about it, and then he became into her, like super into her. And she was talking about her ex, and that was a deal breaker. What? What?
Kind of more like a deal breaker for his friend.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, you got to set your own boundaries. You got to set your own rules. What are you going to accept? What kind of relationship do you want?
Yeah.
Is this somebody that you truly see yourself with for long term? Somebody you just kind of want to know a little bit more? Is it more physical than an emotional? Mm-hmm. What kind of relationship do you want? That's one of those things you have to define. If you don't know, well, then they don't know either. I mean,
yeah, and if you're flirting with someone, you're talking to them for hours and all of these things, how the hell did this not come up? Because if I'm honestly, and maybe
polite flirting.
I'm just
that's
maybe
the only
I'm
thing
just
I can think of.
a douchebag, but if I'm talking to someone for 4 or 5 hours a day, there's a clear romantic intention in there. I love my friends to death, but I'm not doing that unless like there is some sort of romance involved. That to me seems like a next level friendship. And why was there no mention? I would have mentioned it. I would have said something. 5 hours. I mean, and for days, you can really get to know a person in 5 hours. You can really get to know a person in 2 hours if you do it well enough. But for there not to be any sort of anything established lets me know that you weren't even willing to go out on that limb. You were scared.
You got to take the risk. If you're not willing to take the risk, then there's nothing to be gained.
Right.
Every person that I approach, yes, there's a risk. But the way that I've developed my approach is, one, I have no expectations other than starting a conversation and then seeing where that conversation is going to go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they are a person that, okay, they have this trait, they have that trait, I can see this. Okay, now let's take the risk and ask them out. But if I have no expectation, they don't have the traits that I'm looking for, it's really their loss. It's kind of surprising because usually they turn around and ask me out and I'm like, not really going to work.
Right.
We can hang out, we can be friends, but anything romantic, it's just not there.
And that's, I mean, obviously that's one risk you have to take, like you said. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it fucking doesn't. But to me, I think that's a very long time to talk to somebody that you're romantically interested in. And he says, she was really into me and I kind of liked her. Okay, so there's something missing.
I think he's assuming that she's really into him.
Right.
I can only imagine that she could see him as a very good friend, somebody that she can confide in. Because I've been that person. I remember it was my roommate's girlfriend. She would call me and ask me to come out to her place. And these are her exact words. I need a girlfriend I can talk to. So I was kind of like the substitute girlfriend. I would go out there. We would hang out for hours just talking about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of my knowledge came from, is talking to not just her, but all of her other girlfriends. And they would talk, and I was like, mental note here, mental note there, mental note here. Okay, got that. So when I say I talked to a lot of girls, I talked to a lot of girls. But yeah, I was that confidant, but there was nothing romantic between us. Now, I'm sure if I wanted to, I could probably have mentioned it. And yeah, but at that point in time, I didn't really want to make an enemy out of one of my best friends. He knew that we talked and we hung out, but I was not a threat.
And that's important. It's so important to establish boundaries. And it just seems like there are no boundaries established. It seems like there was a lot of time wasted here. It seems like there's a lot of conversations that need to be had that nobody was willing to have. And
or scared to have, yeah.
Right. Yeah. You can't just waste time like that. To me, if you have an intention, you have a clear intention, you say, hey, listen, I feel this way about you. She's like, I don't feel that way about you. Okay, so then that's when you have to decide. Instead of sending a rude-ass text message to somebody, you can walk away, and there's a polite way to do that.
Yeah, you can walk away. Most of the time, I really don't walk away because it's just not right now. I mean, I don't
walk away because it's just their choice.
Yeah. Now, if they want to walk away, that's fine. They can walk.
Right.
But if we've already have that friendship established and I make it known, hey, I would like to be more than just friends, they can either accept it or they can say, I really don't see that. Okay, so nothing's really changed. It might be weird for a couple of days, but that's about it. You just have to be willing to step back because you can destroy it if you keep pressing the issue. I don't know, I've had it be 6, 8. I've had it be 2 years later. They're just like, do you still like me that way?
No,
I've only been marking on the calendar. We're at day 285 here.
Right. Like, yeah, that's funny. Oh my gosh, that's the long con, man. I don't have the patience for the long con. Oh, I do, but it's very, very different.
It depends on who they are. Sometimes it's like, no, not really. Not anymore. We can try it, but that's about it.
Yeah, we're going to try.
Yeah, I can't guarantee anything.
Yeah, or I can give you 6 reasons right now why I know this isn't going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't going to happen, and it can't happen. And I think he is, like I said, I think there's a little bit of an ego inflation there, because he really kind of downplayed the fact that he really liked her, and he overplayed the hand of how much she liked him. I think there is a little bit of a jealousy issue. I think there's a commitment issue. I'm dumbfounded that somebody can talk for hours and hours and hours and hours and never establish any sort of relationship intentions or boundaries. I think that is...
I think there's some stuff in his past.
Right.
Relationships that haven't worked. He's probably put himself out there several times and he's gotten shot down because he doesn't know the value that he brings, or he's unsure. He's probably more of a polite flirt, and they just don't see him in a romantic light. It's either a polite flirt or a sincere flirt. It's one of the two. And if he's talking for hours and hours and hours, I think it's more of a sincere flirting.
Yeah, that's sincere as fuck. But you also have to realize that even if, let's say, even if, you know, he's been rejected and it's in his past and all those things, even if that's all true, if he is reacting the way he reacted to other women...
I think that's more of his friend stepping in. And I think just ending it before any hurt happens.
Right. Preemptive striking is never a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's probably coming from that. Whatever's happened in his past is still haunting.
Yeah, so I think the best advice is don't ever talk to your friend about anything again, because there's no reason you should restrict anybody to talk about things. There's no reason you should try and silence anybody. There's no reason that if you are a friend of somebody, they shouldn't feel like they can come to you and talk about things that bother them. This woman now has a boyfriend, which means you sort of missed your shot.
It's just a temporary boyfriend.
Right, I was going to say, but it could be temporary.
Yeah, I mean, she's just, if it's relatively new, it's just like, yeah, this is the person I'm currently hanging out with until something better comes along.
Right, which is a problematic mindset, but that we have a whole nother show to talk about that. That's a different show.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good next show now that I think about it. I'm going to write that down. If we really think about it, do you think this can be repaired?
Yeah, I think it can be repaired. You got to swallow your pride. Invite her out. I'm not talking like a date type thing.
Right.
Keep it during the day. Keep it over like lunch or brunch or something mid-afternoon, sometime during the day. Keep it light. Still, I keep going back to the coffee date type thing. Invite them out for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever it is. Sit down and have a conversation and tell them, look, this is how I feel. This is why I asked you to stop talking about your boyfriend, because I have feelings for you. Okay, now that kind of sets the whole thing in light, or in the light. And now they can kind of start piecing together everything.
And she has absolutely every right to say, if you say that, she has every right to say, that's stupid. You're a child. I'm walking away. She also has every right to say, I understand. I hear you. I'll try not to do that. But you cannot expect her to respond the exact way you want her to. You shouldn't have any expectations going in.
No expectations.
Because that's what ruined this to begin with. So let's eliminate those expectations completely.
Yeah. And she could say, okay, we can do that, but not right now.
Right. She could say, nope, I'm not into you. It all depends. You have to be willing to rebuild everything. And also, you are having a conditional friendship, which everybody knows I have a problem with. If you are pretending to be someone's friend and then trying to swoop in and date them,
I have a problem with that. Swooping in, being the hero, or every time they bring up their boyfriend, well, I wouldn't do that. I would do this.
Yes.
No, that you're playing elementary school, high school games. It never works out. It never works out. Never. At least not for the long run. You might get a home run for like a weekend, but that's about it.
It's going to be a real great party.
You are.
Yeah. You don't have, just be yourself. And if you don't like who you are, go work on that. If who you are is a person who reacts, who reacts like that, you need to do some work. If you're a person who doesn't sit down and think about things and possibly put yourself in the other person's shoes, you need to do some work. So just work on it. Try and rebuild that bridge. I mean, you tried to burn it, but try and rebuild that. Try and get back what you guys had and start over.
I really don't recommend doing it over the phone, and I don't recommend doing it over text.
No.
Because that's,
God, no.
God. Hey, can you meet me here at this time? Do that over text. Or call them, hey, can you meet me here at this time? I'd like to talk with you.
All right.
And just leave it at that. Don't go into it. Don't give in and start doing this over the phone, because they don't see your facial expressions. They don't see your body language. All that stuff is gone. They really need to see that. You'll come out ahead in the long run, and hopefully everything works out for you. But again, remember, no expectations. Keep the line of communication open. Remain their friend. Remain a support system for them. And if this other guy happens to leave, they at least now know you are now available as an option for them. And they will probably explore that avenue with you at a later time.
Be patient. Be kind. Be willing to forgive. And and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
This
In the
could work out
meantime,
really
figure
well.
out what your strength and your value is.
Yep. We have just the thing to help you with that. We have plenty of workbooks, or I guess worksheets, really.
Yeah,
actually, it's more like a slideshow.
Go out to our site. We are completely rebuilding that entire thing from the ground up.
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard on that sucker.
Yeah, many a late night.
Right? Yeah, I did all my stuff last week, but then I still have to go back and add stuff. But guys, check out the website. Check out all the things we're adding. Check out the way that we're going about this, because we're not here to just get you laid. We're here to help you find love or find a short-term relationship. I mean, honestly, if you just want to get laid, it is so much easier to just download. That's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. But finding somebody for the long term, or even somebody that you can just hang out with and just have fun with for, I don't know, a couple of months, a year, whatever. I've had relationships, they last for almost exactly 2 years. Again, I was in the military, so they would move, I would move, or get reassigned or whatever. So it would last for 2 years. We knew, hey, I've been here for a year. We get transferred every 3 years. So we got 2 years to kind of hang out.
Right.
But it is so friggin' people make this stuff out to be way more complex than it actually needs to be. People are getting tired of the online thing. There was a report that came out done by the BBC. People are deleting Tinder and Match and all that other stuff because it doesn't work.
Suck.
Yeah, you get one date here, one date there. And I mean, going out and actually meeting somebody. People are starting to return back to that. It's just that, for the last 10 years, nobody's done it. We've forgotten how to do it.
And we're bringing it back, connecting with people, understanding people, learning somebody, learning everything there is to learn about them, and then deciding whether they are the person you want to be with or they're someone you want to fool around with. This is what we're trying to normalize. This is what we want you guys to understand. And if you need anything as far as advice or anything, hit us up. Let us know. Write in. Say something.
Yeah. We're building it out. Hygiene products, shaving products, clothing items. We've got all this stuff to help you start moving forward. We've got the worksheets to help you figure out how to find out the value you give and what your strength is, how to actually plan a date, how to go through and conduct the date while looking and feeling your best, discovering how to become dateable. Somebody who another person looks at and goes, wow, what are they about?
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange feeling when it first happens. I've had it happen. I've talked about this on past shows. I've been standing in a store and people come up to me. Can I help you find something? No, I'm good. Are you sure?
Right.
Okay. Slap me upside the head. I know where this is going. It's kind of a strange feeling when that happens, especially for guys to have a girl come up and kind of be that upfront about, I find you interesting. Not too many guys can say that's happened, but we show you how to make that happen. Same thing with women. We've got all kinds of stuff out there for you as well.
Very much. And we are doing this, and obviously we're going to be fair about it, so it's Girls Ask Guys show, not Girls and Guys show. We want you guys to ask questions. We want you to be able to learn how to build meaningful relationships while still interacting with each other.
Yeah.
So we have a community, and we'd love for you guys all to start I guess we should probably start doing things with that. Now that I think about it.
We're getting a ton of questions from a lot of guys. Girls are kind of being kind of silent.
Yeah, so definitely join our group.
Girls ask guys. There's enough information out there for guys all over the place. It's all of you women that have pretty much been neglected.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting the straight scoop. You're kind of getting these little tidbits and happy, feel-good affirmation type things. Not the down-to-earth facts of what guys are really looking for and the stuff that they really want, other than the obvious. There are ways to approach guys. We're just kind of dumb. You gotta slap us in the back of the head.
Right.
And go, hey.
You really need to wear a sign that says, I'm hitting on you. And they probably still be like looking behind them like, oh, are you talking to me or that guy? It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But guys, we're just here to help.
Hopefully that helped you, Kevin. Hopefully we pointed you in the right direction. Let her know you want to talk to her, broach the subject, and see where it goes. Give her a chance to say no before you just give her the word no. All I can do is either take you to where you want to go or nothing's really changed.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to give them that chance. That's how, when I walk up and I talk to somebody, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm giving them the chance to say no. Otherwise, that's what I've already got if I never talk to them.
That's true. All right, guys, I think that's it. I think we're out of time.
Go out and check out the website. We've done quite a bit of stuff. And if you got questions like Kevin does, well, you can DM us on Instagram or Facebook, Twitter. Go to our website. Go to our contact page. We have a brand new form up there. You can have a question, or if you just want to really step out on the limb, come on the show. We'll give you the full show, and we'll coach you through.
Yeah. We will. Actually, I challenge anybody. Come on this show, bring your issues, and we will coach you through. And that sounds really fun, so do it.
Yeah. With that, we will talk to you on the next one.
That's all for this episode of the Girls Ask Guys show, where all of us learn to master this thing called life together. For more answers to your questions on life and love, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. And head to girlsaskguyshow.com to submit your questions for a future episode or apply to be a guest on the show. Good luck out there, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Girls Ask Guys show.